Go back where you came from. I live in a German-speaking country and we are known to be very strict about closing times and time limits at our government offices. I happened to witness some fine malicious compliance in one of these offices. I work as some sort of engineer and went to an office which is dealing with formal requests regarding government-issued assignments. If you want to get such an assignment, you have to bring in paperwork in person up to a specific date. Because of the form and many things that happen in my industry, it is quite common to bring in the paperwork on the last possible day. It was close to closing time and I was waiting for someone when a woman entered the room. Obviously in a rush, heading to the counter where paperwork has to be put in. The counter was empty at the time. While she rushes across the waiting area, her paperwork slides out of her arms and falls to the ground, spreading all over. As she is trying to put all together, a man who looked Middle Eastern tried to help her, but when he touched her she let out a shriek and told him to get back where he belongs and to not touch her paperwork. Obviously a racist remark, telling him to get to his country of origin. A quite common statement here. Without a word he gets up and behind the counter the woman was heading for. When she finally finished picking up her papers, she heads to the counter, realizing that he is in there. Just as she reaches him, he puts up a sign saying, "Closed," and points to the clock which had just reached closing time. Her face went blank as she stammered to please make an exception, but she surely knew from the beginning this was a pointless request. If she had let him help her, I'm sure she would have been able to put in the paperwork. I just can make an assumption that she either wasn't able to put in the paperwork at all or at least had to come in again the next day. Surely not what her boss was expecting. He also maliciously complied with her request to not touch her paperwork. It reminds me of this old saying, "Be careful of the toes you step on today, as they may be attached to the ass you may have to kiss tomorrow." As an Ausländer, living in a German-speaking country, all I can say is, marvelous! Exclamation mark, closing parenthesis. What I like most about this story is she knows it's totally her fault. That's not how she'll be telling the story, of course. But she definitely knows it's her fuck up. Lol. Unrelated but, engineer in an office dealing with formal requests regarding government-issued assignments, sounds like the most German thing ever. I'll bet there's even some massive compound word for it in German. The kind of instant karma you just love to see. Austria? This sounds like perfect Beamtentum, but well done in this case. Racist gets instant payback. Too bad it doesn't happen more often. This post makes me feel schadenfreude. I'm very sorry, ma'am. It is time for me to go back where I came from. Good day. I worked at a state university in the USA for many years. As a public institution, we had some really strict rules, though other times there was some wiggle room. Students generally knew this, without always knowing which was which. During a late registration period, back in the day where you had to go to each department for late registration, no online registration for students. Some girl came in and had a hold on her registration that she'd have to go to another office to clear up. Nothing we could do. It was a regular thing that came up occasionally, and most students were upset to find out but just left to take care of it. She was super crappy to everyone in our office about it. Even though we'd told her what she must do to clear the hold and then she should come back. Registration, officially, ended at 4:30 p.m. every day. Though you could still register people after that. Our office also closed at 4:30 p.m. But sometimes I stayed late to finish a few things up and would generally keep the door open and help SNY stragglers I could. Who comes back at 4:35? Yeah, this chick. As she was explaining what she needs. I said, yes, I remember you. Instead of being apologetic, she went into bitch mode again, and one of the things she said was, "You have to do your job." Quote. And I pointed to the big clock on the wall and said, "My job ended at 4:30. I just happened to still be here, so I left the door open. But I can do my job and lock you out." Week denouement. She started apologizing profusely, and I slowly walked over to my desk and I did register her. But said something about hoping she learned a lesson from this and everyone remembered how crappy she had been all day, and I did not have to do this for her now. But I did. Ever wonder why some government workers walk so slowly? Ha ha ha. That is why. Sometimes I use it elsewhere. But that's where I learned it. And why? I know you're just being vague for privacy. But I work as some kind of engineer, brings to mind you not actually being super sure what your job is and just hoping nobody notices. Yeah, he's about go back to where he came from, alright. His fucking house. Lol, I cannot believe the audacity of some people. That's awesome. Karma is a bitch, and this woman got it served right up. Go back where you came from. Boy. She shrieked. Well, alright then. I'm going home. Tschüss, he nonchalantly replied, gently placing the geschlossen sign on the counter. This particular phrasing made me lol. I work as some sort of engineer. I know you're deliberately keeping your job vague. And perhaps English isn't your first language. But my brain translated that phrase as, I don't know what kind of engineer I am. But I'm some kind of engineer. XD. Edit. Ahaha. You, Dusty Scrolls, commented the same thing. Apologies for the repeat. But your phrasing really was that funny. D. See what happens to rude bigots. Don't be rude. Don't be a bigot. This should be animated and played during Saturday morning cartoons. So kids will sit up and take notice. Back in the Stone Age, the 3 broadcast networks used to have wall-to-wall cartoons and kids programming on Saturday mornings. This sequence of events, presented in a skit or animated form, would have been a good fit as a PSA inserted into the commercial breaks. Obviously a racist remark. Telling him to get to his country of origin. A quite common statement here. Unfortunately, it is too common here in the US as well. Even more unfortunate is that we have national-level politicians up to ex-presidents who say this. It can cut deep, especially for children who don't understand why they are less American than others simply based on their skin color. Ich habe es gern, danke. How much you want to bet she told her boss that the stupid immigrant deliberately closed early?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.